Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for a live review of player ratings live stream. Can't talk because I'm too excited because we won a game. For the love of God, it's been so long since we won a game. I'm just so pleased we won a game. Now, we will get to how we played, but I'm just happy we flipping won a game. Great goal. What a goal. A little bit of a shame that it was Gallagher against Palace where he couldn't celebrate. I feel like for us and for him, it would have been even better had he been allowed is the wrong word, but had he been able to celebrate, shall we say? But my God, I was like literally on the ropes. Like going into halftime, we got the equalizer. I was like, okay, surely we can win this now. And then one of the worst second halves we've played in a while. Like that was so dead. It looked like we didn't even try really. And then out of nowhere, Gallagher just pulls the trigger and puts it top bins. Conor, you absolute beauty. I absolutely love that. Cons, similar name. Cons picture here looks basically like Conor Gallagher anyway. So we're living. We're absolutely living. Con, thank you for joining me as always. You just said it there. A few too many people for your personal liking were a bit too negative on Twitter. Let's just be happy, right? Like we'll get to how we played in a minute. We're gonna talk. We're not gonna be here for only 5 minutes. But the main thing is we won a game. Like you said to me off air, we haven't played in so long. International break, games postponed. The one game on the Potter we did play, 1-1 draw, and we were so close to that misery again. And we pulled it out of the bag. I love it. Like, yeah, we were shit a bit, but we won at least, man. Like, let's be happy, right?
Yeah, it's exactly that, bro. It's exactly that. And you're going to Selhurst Park as well. The atmosphere, like, they always have a good atmosphere there. It's one of the best in the league by a country mile. And it's like just after international break, we had 17 players who left the international break to therefore. So, Potter, I know people say he's had like a mini pre-season, but he hasn't had the full squad. And we all knew the game was going to be a bit rough.
Honest.
Yeah, let's be honest. And then we knew it was going to be a rough game. Let's be honest. We knew it was because we haven't been playing the best of football. And Potter's not a miracle worker. He can't just change us from playing boring to exciting football when 17 players are going to international break. And the game, yeah, it was quite boring at times, especially that second half. It was awful. But that goal, how can that goal not get you gassed? That's the winner. And it's Gallagher against Palace as well. It's like scripted moment, bro. Scripted moment.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, number one, Potter isn't a miracle worker. Number two, it shows how much of the Salzburg game was reliant on Salzburg. Salzburg made that game crazy, not because Graham Potter just played crazy football. Well, unless he obviously reeled it in a little bit because last time was a little bit too crazy for him. That could also be the case. But it's just, number one, Palace are a good team. Mark Guehi is an absolute monster of a defender, by the way, except that he keeps going down all the time and someone touches him. I find that a bit annoying. But in general, what a defender. Oh my days. And they were missing their best defender anyway. And they were really good defensively. Now, were we always great? No. First half was decent. We could have scored way more than we did. And the second half, to me, it looked like the whole team was tired. Like there was just a massive lack of urgency. And it was super strange. I found that super strange. Like I tweeted it. Can these players not even do manager bounce? Like, come on. Surely manager bounce is the one thing Chelsea should be good at, right? But that second half certainly didn't look like manager bounce. But at the end, we pulled that out of the bag anyway, and that's what we need right now. Like, we've been in the little bit of the slumps. Obviously, the last 10 months, whatever, have been absolutely insane at Chelsea in terms of everything that's been going on. So we need, and I know I said this the last time we won a game, and I will keep saying it until we just finally go on a run, but we need to get wins. The wins will give us confidence. Once we get confidence, our players will actually show how good they can be, because football is a difficult game. Football is so much of football is played in the head. If you're just not feeling it, you can have all the best ideas in the world. It's just not going to come off. You can try as hard as you want. It's just not going to come off. And the more confidence you build, the better it's going to be. So we need to just build on this and hopefully kick on Wednesday against Milan, because that's even more so arguably a must-win game than today was. And another positive, at least we're not Liverpool, who drew 3-3 against Brighton at Anfield. These clowns. Having a great day, honestly. Ferrari on pole, Chelsea with the dub. I'm having time of my life, honestly. Con, the team, when it came out, now we'll get into what formation it was in a second, but initially when you just saw which players were going to play, were you happy with that? Now, I will say straight off the bat, I keep saying I think Armando Broja should start, and I think he deserves to start. Now, Aubameyang scored a fantastic goal today, but obviously that didn't happen when the team was released, right? So at the time, I was like, I still think Broja should start, but I wasn't surprised that it was Aubameyang. Other than that, kind of what we expected. The only thing was, were we going to play a back four or a back three? But otherwise, it was kind of at least the personnel we expected, would you say, right?
Yeah, it was more or less the team that I thought would have started. I thought Cucurella might have started, but then I saw some news about his throat or something.
Yeah,
And then people were telling me it was going to be a back three with Chilwell playing left centre back. And I was like, no, surely not.
yeah.
So I thought it was going to be a back four as well. But yeah, I wasn't surprised by anyone. I knew Mendy was injured, so Kepa would start. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh,
There you
oh,
go. I mean,
I did think Pulisic was going to start, though.
Oh, really? But instead
Yeah,
of who? Instead of Sterling or more instead of like Havertz, probably.
probably instead of Havertz, yeah.
There you go. There you go. I mean, one thing that I'm not particularly shocked by it, but the fact that Koulibaly now hasn't started either of the first two games under Graham Potter, I do find interesting. Especially with, Thiago Silva in the end got the assist for the goal. But I still think, especially in a game like today, Koulibaly, the way he passes the ball, like Thiago's over the top passing is phenomenal. But I feel like he's so experienced. He's such a defender at heart. He will not play risky passes through the lines. That's not him, right? That's why he had David Luiz next to him when they were playing for Brazil and even at PSG. David Luiz was the guy for those kind of passes, right? Fofana isn't going to have the confidence to do that at the new club just yet. I mean, we'll talk about Fofana later. So in a game like today, I feel like the passing of Koulibaly could have been super helpful from the back because that was just a weird thing. We kind of played a weird mix of, I'm just trying to fill all the players in. I didn't quite have time before we went live, before I'm going to get it up on screen. We kind of played like a mix of a 4-2-2 to a 4-2-3-1. In the second half, it was more clearly a 4-2-3-1, but talking about the first half first, I would say it was quite clearly a mix of the two, just because Havertz was kind of shifting between being a second striker and a 10. But what Sterling was doing on the right-hand side, I don't really know. Mount was also so central all the time that there was really nothing to be done on the left side, especially because Chilwell remained rather defensive and Sterling was much more going... Reece James was much more going forward of our two fullbacks. So it was interesting. Then the second half, we changed obviously a little bit. I will get that. We will talk about that when we get to talking about the second half. But did you see it this way as well, Con, or did you think we played a different shape? Like I said, it's kind of this, and then Havertz was just moving between these areas, hence why kind of a 4-3-1 like that, kind of a 4-2-2 like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was definitely like changing within game, and it was really hard for me to grasp what we was playing early because my streams were dodgy, bro. I can't
Okay,
Luckily, I saw the whole second half, and I did catch quite a bit of the first half as well after like the 20th minute. But yeah, so it was hard for me to grasp. But yeah, Kai was sort of like dropping in that sort of 10 position, but then he'd be next to like it was a bit all over the place. Sometimes I thought it was a 4-2-2, sometimes it looked like a bit of a 4-2-3-1. So yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, sometimes maybe it was even a kind of a 4-3-3 with Mount dropping back, Aubameyang shifted over, and then it was kind of Havertz alone in the middle. So it was certainly fluid. Then in the second half, it was a clear 4-2-3-1 with Havertz then actually being out on the right, Mount in the middle, and Sterling went over to the left side, which for personnel made a little bit more sense, even though I still don't really see Havertz as a wide right player. Even though he had one, like especially in the second half, he had only a good chance in the second half until the goal. But it was just a great block from the Palace defender because I think that would have gone in. But yeah, I mean, let's talk about something. I want to talk about Kepa here because I thought he was very good. Did you think he was very good?
Yeah, I did.
I know you didn't see the whole game. I get that with the stream lagging and stuff. But from what you saw, I was very happy with him. Other than one or two passes, like long balls. Even he's played one over the top all the way. I think it was to Sterling, maybe, or maybe to Havertz. Like 70 yards pass right onto the foot of his teammate. I'm like, that's what we've been missing, man.
Yeah, no, he was very good today, Kepa. I don't blame him for the goal at all. Them balls are so awkward for keepers to deal with. Anyone who plays, I've seen a few people blame Kepa for that, but they're just edgy guys. No, I thought he played well, and that one where he came out, he sweeped it, and then he passed it all the way to Kai. I was like, yeah, that's good. And he was even a bit commanding as well. He punched the ball away. He was coming out to jump for the ball.
He caught one as well, like so good.
Yeah, he looked so confident, and it's nice to see that. It really is.
Absolutely. And he also made a few good saves. Like he made the one stretch save in his bottom right corner when he then, there was this weird situation where you're like, should he have come for the rebound ball to Zaha but he stayed away? Otherwise, maybe that causes a penalty because Zaha loves a dive, doesn't he? Although we will talk about VAR and refereeing decisions regardless, because I personally think we got very much away with one today. But, we'll take it. I tweeted like, maybe that's just what happens when you get an English manager. Maybe that's the benefit you have.
I
don't
saw
know.
that tweet. Yeah. Do you think that was a red card for Thiago, bro?
Yeah. I do.
As soon as I saw it on the replay, I was like, "That's a red."
My
And when
guy
it went to
stopped it with
VAR,
his hand. Like,
yeah.
my
And when it
guy
went to
played
VAR,
goalie in the middle of the pitch.
when it went to VAR, and I saw
So
it.
yeah,
That's a red.
and then he assists the equalizer as well. Like if I'm a Palace fan or the Vieira, like he was losing his absolute shit even after the game. And to be honest, fair play. But we've been mugged off by VAR and referees so many times. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, I feel so bad because we didn't get a red card. No, we are due these. And I know in the last Premier League game, because obviously 2 were suspended or postponed rather. Our last Premier League game against West Ham, we also a little bit got away with one for VAR. So yeah, it has been 2 back-to-back games where we got away with it a little bit. But like I say, we've been so unlucky with refereeing decisions for years, not just a little bit. So I'll absolutely take it. But ladies and gentlemen, by the way, in the chat, we have over 300 people watching. Has YouTube fixed itself? Because the last 2 streams in the last few days for loads of different content creators has been absolutely dead. So I'm glad to see there's quite a few of you here. So if you're new here, please be sure to subscribe. That'd be massively appreciated. Smash that like button. Follow me on Twitter. Follow Con on Twitter, and we involved in the chat. We will probably see a couple of polls in the chat as well, so you can get your opinions on player ratings involved as well. But Con, we already started on Kepa. Let's do a rating, shall we? What would you give him?
I'm gonna give him an 8. I thought he was really good today. I thought he was one of our better players.
Absolutely, I was exactly going to say the same thing. 8 is, I'm very happy with it. I don't understand. I mean, I haven't actually seen anyone blame Kepa for it, but I'll take your word for it that some people have, because some people are weird. What can you do about that? There's one guy at fault for that goal, and that was Fofana. We'll get to him in a second, and it was most certainly not Kepa. That's for sure. Maybe even Chilwell, because he let the cross come in a bit too easily. But first and foremost at fault for that goal was unfortunately Wesley Fofana. But yeah, Kepa, what can you say? I'm very happy with him. Now, can I ask you a question now? Obviously, Mendy is still injured, but Graham Potter said that maybe by next week he'll be back fit. Do you think Mendy should just come back in? Or do you think Kepa is now playing well enough that he shouldn't just randomly lose his spot again, considering Mendy was in pretty damn poor form before he obviously picked up his injury and therefore didn't stop playing?
I hate this question. If Kepa's still playing well, by the time Mendy's back, then there's no reason to drop him, in my opinion, because Mendy wasn't playing well before his injury. So I feel like Mendy is the better goalkeeper. I feel like when they're both in form, Mendy's a lot better. But it's time for players to play on merit, and because they've been playing well instead of because of who you are. And I'm more for merit. And so if Kepa's still playing well, I want Kepa starting.
Absolutely. For me, it's also like, number one, what you just explained is the same reasoning for me as well. But also, if we're going to use the back 4 more regularly, like we did today, in the back 4, the goalkeeper is much more relevant in being a passing option when building from the back, because when you get pressed, you need that extra passing option because you don't have that extra centre back. And we know that Kepa is much better with the ball at his feet than Mendy is. So I also think that Kepa's strength in that department and Mendy's weaknesses in that department could be a big reason why I personally wouldn't be shocked if Kepa, regardless of Mendy's actual form, makes it to be number 1 goalkeeper under Graham Potter, just because it seems like, and obviously we've only had 2 games, so this could change, but so far it seems like the goalie is very important to building up, and Kepa's passing just makes a big difference to that compared to Mendy, where every time you have the ball, you're shitting yourself that he's going to pass it straight to the opponent. So obviously that's with him being low on confidence as well. When he's high on confidence, he's also much better at that. I'm very aware. But I think in general, everyone can agree that Kepa is better with the ball at his feet. But at the end of the day, what I think, what Con thinks, doesn't really matter. We'll see what Graham Potter does once Mendy's back. Let's get to the 2 defenders. And let's get Fofana out of the way first. He had a stinker for that goal. But after that, I thought he played well. Now, even though I know your stream didn't really work for the first 20 minutes, I assume you still saw the goal and the build-up, right, Con?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't see that whole passage. So I saw the cross. So
okay, fair. So basically, how the whole thing starts is Fofana has the ball, no real pressure, and just passes it straight to the Palace player, who switches it over to the guy that in the end crossed the ball past Chile and then scored. Okay. And then Fofana, not only did he give the ball away in the first place, but then he was kind of out of position and took too long to get back. And then he was also a step or a yard too late to Eduardo, who then scored the goal, right? So it's like a double whammy for not great. But after that, he was good. He was decent on the ball. Still a bit slow sometimes, maybe lacking a little bit of confidence, but that would happen He's very young, huge signing, huge transfer fee, sorry. And one of his first games for Chelsea, only second game, wasn't it? So not exactly a huge surprise, but there was a few tackles in there which I enjoyed. I think the chemistry between him and James got better as the game went on as well. But because of the mistake, I still think I'm just thinking of how low I want to go with the mistake. Because like I say, he gave the ball away in the first place, and then he didn't clean it up when he could have as well. So it just depends on what I think of his performance in general. I think his performance in general was probably like a 6, just a decent game. But with the mistake, I take 1 off and I give him a 5. Obviously, you didn't see the whole passage, I understand. But from what you saw, at least, what would you give him?
I think 5's very fair, to be fair. Because one thing, I thought defensively he was really good. But he's, in terms of progressive passing, like he was quite bad at doing it. We're so reliant on Thiago Silva today to get that ball forward. Even Kova and Jorginho weren't really helping in that aspect too much. So,
do you think that's an ability thing, or do you think it's more a confidence thing because he's young and new club, big club, huge transfer fee? Because I think like someone like Kurt Zouma, he passes the ball and you just look at him and you see, okay, he can't pass the ball very well. Like you just see it, right? Well, someone like David Luiz, you look at him and you're like, okay, you can pass. Same with Thiago Silva. Fofana to me looks like a guy that can pass. So I'm like, that's why I'm hoping that it's a bit of a confidence thing, and it will come once he feels a bit more settled. And do you know what I mean with that? Or do you think it will always be an issue for him?
No, I get what you're saying. No, he's not like a swimmer where he's like poor on the ball. Like he looks comfortable on the ball, and when in terms of like carrying as well, he did a few good carries that game as well. He got one of the Palace players a yellow card because he just took it past him. So I think he can be progressive. I think like after you try to do a pass and it gets intercepted, leads to a goal, your confidence is definitely going to take a hit. So you got to be a bit more safer, ain't you? I don't think he's as good as Thiago Silva on the ball. I don't think many centre halves are, to be honest.
No.
But I don't think he's a scrub either. So I feel like he'll grow into it. He's young, like you said, and he did grow into the game after that mistake. So.
Absolutely, and it's only natural as well. Like it's going to be weird for everyone. Obviously, Fofana only in the under-21s squad for France, so like obviously that is a little bit of a confidence dampener, right? You get your big move to Chelsea, and still you're like left out for players that are, in my personal opinion, worse than he is. And then it's obviously this first game for Chelsea in like 4 weeks. Everyone knows we need a win. And then he makes a mistake in the first 5 minutes, basically. Of course, that's going to affect you for the rest of the game. So a lot of people went actually a little bit higher with the rating. I saw a lot of 6s, even a couple of 7s. I don't think he was that good outside of the mistake to give him a 7, personally. Maybe I would probably accept the 6, but in the end, we both went for a 5. Let's go to Thiago Silva. Now, we discussed it a little bit already, but you agree that he got away with it? Yeah, I mean, he was kind of pushed. Was it Eduardo again? I can't remember. But he was kind of pushed, but he was shoulder on shoulder, so it's not really a foul. And then he just hits the ball with his hand to stop the guy going through, and somehow only got a yellow. Now, someone in the chat said it's a right decision, but only on technicality. I don't really know, because I don't even think any other players were close enough to realistically stop it, like any other Chelsea players, mind you. So I was very, very surprised. Like when I saw the replay, I was like, flippy, I was going to overturn this, aren't they? Especially when I saw the red card that Spurs got. Now, I saw some people say this was a red card. To me personally, it was never a red card for Spurs. Like I know it was the studs, but there was so little power on it. Like he clearly accidentally did that. It was the outside of the ankle as well, where much less happens in that sense, because that's just how the ankle doesn't roll as much in that direction, right? And there was nowhere near enough power to really hurt his shin, right? So that was never a red card to me. So, even though they're completely different types of potential red cards, one being a last man handball and the other one being a foul. Still, having seen that 2 hours before, and then Thiago Silva do that, I was convinced he would get sent off. But he didn't. And then in the end, he provides an assist because he all of a sudden decides, I'm going to play left wing. And has an absolute wonder layoff header to Aubameyang. But how do we compile that then? Because I guess in the end, he didn't get sent off. So in the end, you could say it was an absolute genius move to play that ball with his hand, because if he doesn't, Eduardo is 1-on-1 through with Kepa, and chances are we're 2-0 down. So how do we rate that then? Because do we take rating off because he should have been sent off? Or do we leave it because, well, in the end, he kind of stopped us from going 2-0 down?
I think because he got away with it, it was quite a crafty thing for him to do,
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't really know. it's hard because I thought it was a red, but the more I saw it, the more I was leaning towards. I can see why it's not a red. I still think it is, but I can also see why they
On
didn't
what
give it a red.
basis could you see it's not a red? Do you think because it wasn't like he
'Cause
wasn't
how
clear enough through on goal, or do you think
Yeah.
like on what basis? Okay.
just because how far out he was and like how wide it was as well. And I think there was a Chelsea player like on the opposite side. So it's like I can see why it weren't a red, but for me personally, I thought it was. But because he got away with it, it's a really like sneaky thing to do. You know, I'm not gonna take off points from him for that. I think he was an 8 today. I think he was really good. Barring that incident, I think he was really good. He was progressing the ball. I think he had like 14 long balls today.
And a few of those were really good too. Not just random long balls. Do you know what I mean?
He attempted 17 and completed like 14. That's a mental number.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. And the assist as well. I don't know what he was still doing there, but thank God he was. You know,
Absolutely.
and he was our progressive player today. Like without him, the game would have been so much worse. You know, and then he was still Thiago Silva in defence as well. He was clearing things. He was winning tackles. In the back four as well, people tell me that he's protected by that back five. He still looked world class in the back four. And bear in mind, he played on Tuesday for Brazil. You know?
Yeah.
So he had to come all the way from there. From different time.
Now I get it why he played. You know, I was sat here yesterday with Pies for the preview, and I was like, Thiago Silva never plays the game after an international break. Oh, he didn't last season. Not once did he do that last season. But now I've just clocked something why he did. Because Brazil played in Europe. That's why. Because last year they were playing World Cup qualifiers. Yeah, they played in Parc des Princes, didn't they? You know, Richarlison with the racist abuse that he got, which, by the way, is, of course, completely unacceptable. But that was at PSG Stadium. So they played in Europe. That's why he played. It makes so much more sense now. I didn't think of that before. But yeah, makes sense. Then I probably won't go quite as high as you, just because I know he got away with it, but he got away with it too much for me to give out an 8. But I will say 7.5 though. Like I won't go much lower. Which means, ladies and gentlemen, as that's just myself and Con, it's up to you, ladies and gentlemen, to pick between 7.5 and 8. So I'm going to give you those two options. And he's not called Thiago Silva. It's called Thiago Silva. I can't type. Rating out of 10. I'll give you that option, ladies and gentlemen. Please place your vote in the poll in the chat once I've placed it there in a second. And then we'll just move on and get back to that once a fair few of you have placed your vote. And for now, I just put both. All right. I guess Chilwell was the more defensive of him and Reece James. So let's do Chile first. He still doesn't look ready to play to me. He honestly doesn't. Like he's clearly like compared to what we know he can be like. He doesn't look anywhere near Chile before his injury. Now, obviously, he had to today because Cucurella has some sort of illness on his throat. I mean, he's even in hospital, apparently, which I know I've been to hospital for when I had a sore throat, but fair enough. Maybe footballers that's what they do. But yeah, I mean, he was clearly instructed not to be too offensive. It was clearly planned that way. But yeah, there was a lot of times, like the cross for the goal, he let past him too easy. There was too many times he let crosses past him, which I didn't quite enjoy. There was one very dodgy back pass, but Thiago Silva had to bail him out of it. I mean, that went for a number of players. Jorginho, Kovacic, they were all bailed out by Thiago Silva today on a number of occasions. But yeah, I don't really know. Because the difficult part for Chile is, do I purely rate it on what I saw, or do I rate it on keeping in mind a little bit that he's not fully fit yet? Because if Chile, before the injury, played like this, I'd probably give him like a 4. But that's because he was so good at the time that anything that wasn't very good seemed disappointing. Well, now it's understandable that he's not quite the same yet, is it? So that's why I'm more leaning towards like anywhere between a 5 and a 6, because he wasn't great, but it was overall still average. Like he didn't like do that many things wrong. He didn't make a mistake like Fofana did in that sense. You know, that cost us a goal. So I don't know, maybe 5.5. What are you feeling, Con? Do you agree even with me, or do you disagree? Do you not see that he doesn't quite feel fully there yet?
No, I totally agree with you. He doesn't look fully fit yet. He doesn't. I feel it's quite poor today. And I know what you mean about factoring that he isn't probably 100%, but I'm probably going to give him a 5.5. And I'm acknowledging this isn't a fully fit Chilwell right now. So I know it seems a bit harsh giving him such a low score, but he just wasn't good, But I know I'm not going to slander him for that poor rating because he's not fully fit yet,
There you go. There you go. Sorry, mate. I was just trying to read if Graham Potter said anything. Clutch has said if we want him to, he can join the stream. Well, Clutch is up to you. If you want to, you can happily join the stream. If you can't be asked, then don't. So just text me whether you want to or not, and then I'll send you the link if you do. I assume you're watching this, otherwise you probably wouldn't have asked me. But maybe I've just told thin air about texting me. But I would actually probably agree on your 5.5. You know, maybe 5 is a little bit fairer, but I don't want to be too harsh because I think Chelsea fans, we sometimes have this thing where whether it's new players like a bit like with Fofana or players returning from injury, we give them that benefit of the doubt or that leeway for like a week. And after that, we're like expecting them to be winning the Ballon d'Or again. And I feel like sometimes we need to, like the guy tore his ACL less than a year ago. Like Callum Hudson-Odoi is to this day suffering from tearing his Achilles. Now, Achilles is probably even worse than ACL, but that's the only injury worse than an ACL tear as a footballer, right? So I know people say maybe I'm being nice, but we need to, like I say, football is such a confidence game. Gareth Southgate fucks his confidence on a regular basis anyway, calling him up, leaving him in the hotel, instead of being able to work with Graham Potter, and probably would have played better today if he was just allowed to do that instead. So I'm going to be maybe a little bit kind, but I still don't think a 5.5 is too far off the mark. Reece James then. One very good assist, which could have one very good cross, which could have very much ended in an assist for Raheem Sterling in the first half when he in the end hit the post. Very good defensively, but especially in the second half, one of the many players that I thought just lacked a little bit of attacking urgency. Like I felt for the whole of the second half, really, we played like a team that was 3-1 up instead of drawing 1-1. That's what I felt like. Like we weren't really pressing super hard. We weren't really going forward with a lot of intensity. It was a bit strange. So almost the counter opposite of the reasons for Ben Chilwell. Because Reece James is so good and I rate him so highly, even though he was actually decent, I'm not going to give him 2 out of a rating. I'm going to go 6. Do you think that's too harsh from me, Con?
I think that's quite harsh. I can't lie. I thought he was really good today.
I
get what you're saying. Like offensively, he wasn't the best. He had some good cutbacks, and like some of the progressive passing he was doing today, like some of them little passes between the lines, they were really nice. But keep in mind, he was playing back 4 today, so he's not going to be as offensive as when he plays right wing back, you know, because he has to defend more, especially when you have Thiago Silva and Jorginho in the team. Like you can't just be bombing up. So I thought defensively he was superb. Sahar had to switch wings. That happens every time Sahar plays Chelsea. He gets locked up by Reece James, bro. Like I feel for Sahar, man. I wouldn't want to come against Reece James either. But I'm giving Reece James a 7.5 today. I feel it was really good.
7.5, you're saying? Okay, I think I might have to adjust my rating then. Let me think, guys. Sorry, I'm just sending Clutch to stream. Clutch said he was able to watch the game from the 21st minute. So basically, he as much as Con anyway. So seems reasonable. So I said 6. You said 10.5. Do I want to go up to a 7? You know what? I'm going to say 6.5, which overall puts us at a 7. I don't. Yeah.
To be fair, we can wait to see what Clutch says when he comes.
You know what? It's a fair point. There you go. It's a fair point. Hello, Clutch. My lovely friend. Great to see you. Great to hear.
Great timing.
Exactly. Connor's just already put the consensus on you. You need to now decide what rating Reece James gets.
Between what and what?
Well, between whatever you want. But I initially said 6. Con said, nah, you're way too harsh. Con then said 7.5. I said, okay, I'm going to go 6.5, which would currently leave us at a 7. But you can obviously sway it.
I'm probably going to lean more towards 7. I think his defensive work today was one of the reasons why, well, not one of the reason why Wilfried Zaha had to switch to the other side, even though I don't know why they didn't do that like 40 minutes before that, but
True.
That's why he switched to the other side, and then he started getting more involved. You could just tell Reece James's work ethic on the defensive side was just a lot better. So if you're asking me, I'd probably lean towards the 7, and he's the guy who got the pre-assist for Thiago Silva. He's the one who put the ball into Thiago Silva. So,
and that was a great ball as well. You know what? You guys have convinced me. I'll go up to a 7 as well, but then it's 2 7s and 1 7.5, so we still stick to a 7. But see, Clutch turns up and we have everything sorted. See, sometimes we just need an American to turn up and figure it out. But not too many things, you know, with the pipeline. But let's not get into too many conspiracy theories now. Let's do Jorginho then. Now, on the ball, I didn't think he was that bad, but off the ball, my guy had an absolute stinker. Like, it just seemed like on every occasion possible, he was just a step behind. And because Jorginho is as slow as he is anyway, if he's a step behind from the get-go, 3 steps later, he's about 2 steps behind, right? So, yeah, it wasn't it. Kovacic really wasn't on it today as well. And with this double pivot, only a back 4 behind it, we had no is maybe a bit harsh, but very little midfield stability. I really wasn't happy with it. The only thing I'm not sure about is how low I want to go, because anything that has a 4 in it, whether it's 4 or 4.5, always seems very bad. But I do think he was worse than Fofana, and I gave Fofana a 5. So I'm just debating really between a 4 and a 4.5. I'm not sure. I'm going to leave myself still to decide between those two. Clutch, I'll go with you again on this one. Do you think I'm being harsh when I say 4/4.5, or would you agree in around that realm?
No, I mean, one of our main weaknesses today was our midfield. They just kept running through it, and there was no control. Jorginho is the guy who controls the ball. He did have one nice pass, if I remember, at the end of the first half that I think it was Kai Havertz kind of screwed up. But other than that, it was just his defensive work that kind of got put behind him. There was a time when I remember he didn't make a good challenge, but then he held on to the ball for too long and got caught, and that almost resulted in them putting a counter. So I'm not going to go too harsh. Probably, I don't know, a 5, probably. He wasn't great today, though.
No, he wasn't. I mean, Kunta Kunk. I just had to think if someone's trying to bait me with their name here. Sorry, Kunta Kunk, if that's your actual name. He's asking basically, was Jorginho hurt? He did look to be in a little bit of pain when he came off, but surely it was just some sort of knock. Like, he didn't look to be in serious pain. I don't think it was an injury. But okay, you went for a 5 Condon. I know you're a big fan of Jorginho, but what did you make of him today, and what would you rate him?
Bro, I'll be real. The whole midfield stunk today. Yeah. It was horrible. And then when I think second half we went to like 4-3-3, and like that midfield 3 of Jorginho and Mount, they were all terrible. I want to give Mount, Georgie, and Kova all 4s, and I think I'm being generous with that because they was terrible today. All 3 of them were terrible.
You know what? Now that you say it like that, maybe I don't even disagree. Maybe all 3 of them deserve the same rating. I don't know. Maybe I let Mount off a little bit more for it because obviously, I don't think it was proper midfield 3. I think he was more of a 10, but a normal central 10 in the second half. So not as much defensive duties, hence therefore not as much to blame for no midfield stability. Hence, I won't go as harsh.
Saying that, like with the Mount thing, bro, like Elise was in his head. It was in his head, bro. He skinned Mount like twice, and the Mount just fouled him off the ball. Like, he got in his head.
If there's any indication of how Jorginho played today, right? Jorginho's a guy who's supposed to come back, receive the ball, control it, right? He only got 46 touches today from the midfield, which is something that we never see Jorginho do. And Kovacic had 8.
Especially in the back 4, that would usually suggest even more touches for the centre.
So I'm probably wrong with the 5, and I'm going to go down. I'm going to actually agree with Con's 4, because 46 touches is a guy who's supposed to be controlling the play, and he didn't do it. Nah.
And this is why I gave Thiago Silva an 8, Laurenz, because Jorginho and Kova really didn't do anything in terms of progressing today. Like, they did such little on the ball, and it was all on Thiago Silva, and that's why I gave him so high, because the 2 in front of him, I don't know what was wrong with them today, but they just didn't turn up. It's probably the worst game I've seen them for a long time together. Like, both of them, where I could say you was both utter trash.
That's true, actually. It's not that often that both of them have a bad game together, if that makes sense. I mean, so far, your 8 for Thiago Silva is winning, but it's only 55-45. So I'll give you guys a few more minutes. Again, if you haven't already, put your place your vote in the poll in the chat. It's a weird combination of words to me, but anyway, I think I might have to agree. I was deciding between the 4 and a 4.5. Anyway, I think you might have a point. Con. Let's give Jorginho that 4. Let's get to Kovacic. Now, Clutch, do you agree with Con that almost him and Jorginho should get the same? And then we'll get to Mount. And basically, I'm going to ask you the same question probably. But do you think he was as bad as Jorginho? Do you think it was maybe worse? Do you think it was a bit better? Or, like I say, would you agree that he was about the same?
I'd say about the same. I mean, he won 0 out of 7 ground duels as a defensive player.
That is bad.
He did have 4 out of 7 long balls, which it wasn't too bad, but
Yeah.
like it was, even his like dribbling today wasn't that great. Like he had one moment where he kind of got up the field a little bit. I think it was in the second half. I think he just played a really bad pass that probably should have resulted in something, a shot or something. But yeah, no, Kovacic was not the same. I don't know why. His dribbling seemed really bad today, so I'd probably agree with the 4.
Yeah, I thought at the very beginning of the game there was still some good things that he was doing, and then he just tailed off a lot, and then he kept tripping over the ball. Like I said, bad touches, bad decisions, just so backwards all the time. When I'm like, Jorginho is the guy who I allowed to pass backwards and sideways a bit more because, okay, he's supposed to be controlling the pace. Kovacic is supposed to be controlling the pace only after Jorginho came off. That's when that was his job. So I probably have to agree. I mean, Con, obviously you already gave your rating in a sense, but what exactly were you not so happy with Kova today? He looked really tired and slow to me, especially the longer the game went on.
Yeah, he did a good pass into Sterling, I think, in the first half. And but other than that, I don't really think of anything he actually done. He was kind of a ghost in this game, and he was always like getting to the ball half a second too late. It's one thing I noticed. I will bear in mind he's just come back from that injury. Like, we don't know how bad that injury was because it was suggested that he might need surgery. So maybe that's affected him more than we know. We don't know. But he was poor today. Like, for his standards, he was really poor. Like, he was annoying me so much. And then, just see that part in the second half where he dribbled and then he fell over and then he held at least his foot. Like, what are you doing, Kova? Like, 4 for me, man.
That was a bit weird, yeah.
Did you guys' commentators say that Kovacic looked hurt when Jorginho was coming off?
No. But my commentator also said Kepa is poor, so my commentator had no idea what he was talking about.
Yeah. So when Ruben was getting ready to come in, my commentator was like, yeah, it looks like it's probably for Kovacic, who's been massaging his hamstring. It looks like he has a hamstring problem. And then he's like, oh, wait a minute, Jorginho also has a problem too. So I don't know if that's a thing, but I don't know why. Yeah. If he did have a hamstring problem, I don't know why he never came off and played the full 90.
Yeah, so I assume he didn't. Otherwise, I would bloody hope he would come off because, I mean, we don't have the midfield personnel as it is. So don't risk another bloody longer term injury, seriously. But yeah, I think in the end, we just sit on that 4 and we move on and get to Mason Mount. Again, Connor's already kind of placed his thoughts on it. Now, what can I say about him? He had one shot in the second half, which went just wide. I'm like, come on, get it on target, man. Then he had that header from the Havertz cross in the first half. Just a really good cross and the header just wide. Should score it, frankly. But I guess it was a good chance at least. And then he obviously had that indirect free kick for the back pass that we got, which I don't know why he tried to go for the near post. Like, surely you have to try and smash it top corner, far top corner. That's the only place where you have enough space to give it enough power so it can rise a little bit, right? That's the only place you can really score there, in my opinion. Instead, he put in the sign at him, which I found a bit strange. Now, I personally think he was bad, but I don't think he was quite as bad as Jorginho and Kovacic. So I would say 4.5, but I think it's okay if you say 4 as well. So my 4.5, Con's 4. So we're kind of back to you, Clutch, and I'll let Con explain it as well in a second, his 4, of course. But would you go? Do you think he was a little bit better than the other 2? Do you think it was the same? Do you potentially think it was even worse than the midfielders or the real midfielders?
The only reason I think he'd be a little bit better is because, I mean, he probably should have had an assist to Kai Havertz. Probably, I think. If Kai Havertz puts the ball in the
dragged wide.
The one that Kai Havertz... No, Kai Havertz... He like took too long and tried to go for it. He should have just smashed the near post, and that probably would have been a goal. But it is what it is on that, I guess. But no, I think we have a real problem with Mason Mount right now. He's been terrible for weeks now. He keeps starting. I think that's a very big problem. And he's not the same Mason Mount that we seen last year. So I'd probably give him the 4.5 only because he created a chance that neither of the other 2 did. And it wasn't necessarily his fault that he didn't get the assist. So, but other than that, Mason Mount has been really poor, and I don't know why he went for the near post on that indirect free kick. But it is what it is, I guess.
It is what it is, I guess. Fair enough. Condon, how would you explain the 4 rating? Is it Because for earlier you said midfield and stuff, but is it just that, or is it like the finishes that were lacking in your eyes, or what was it exactly?
I think his defensive work today was terrible. Like I said, the Leeds had fun with Mount today. He really did. And Mount dragged him down and got a silly yellow for no reason, just because he's annoyed at him.
Do you think that was a yellow, by the way? Because when I saw the replay, Elise was was grabbing and pulling Mount's shirt way before Mount ever touched him. So I was a little bit confused by the ref. Like, if you give both the yellow, fair enough. But why only Mount got yellow, I was a bit confused.
No, it just didn't need to do it. Don't react in it. He just got in his head. And then that free kick, that free kick annoyed me so much. Because, no disrespect to Mount, Reece James is a better ball striker. Aubameyang's probably a better ball striker. So why was he the one to take it? I hate when he steps over a free kick or he's the one taking it, because it always comes to nothing. And it was so poor as well. Even if it gets blocked, calm. But, like, what are you doing there? And today, I thought it was really poor, Laurenz. I think if Ziyech or Pulisic had the game he did, people would be screaming their head off. I think he was so arse today, I can't lie. I really didn't think he was involved at all.
I think you might have convinced me, Sorry, Clutch. I'm going to leave you hanging with your 4.5. I think I'm going to have to agree with Con. You know what? Yeah, give him that 4. I don't think he warrants much more. And the reason why I say that is we'll get to Raheem Sterling now, and a lot of people will disagree with me here, but I think it was equally as bad as the other 3 we just mentioned. Sterling had one good moment in the entire game, and he hit the post from 3 yards. Name me one other thing Sterling did. He was never how many touches did Sterling even have compared to the others? Do you know what I mean? Maybe I'm being harsh, but I was watching the game and I was like, does Sterling do anything? And when he did, I know Mount was poor too, but when Pulisic came on, I was so clearly expecting him to come on for Sterling, because I was so can you do something, please? I mean, Con, was that just me, or did you also think Sterling was pretty poor?
Yeah, can't lie. I love Raheem. I think he's been our best attacker this season, easily. But I think he had a poor game today. He missed chances. Do you know that one where it fell back to him after he got blocked and he just hit it wide? That annoyed me. His pullbacks today...
more touches than Mount, to be fair, so I'm waffling. But only by 3, mind you. It's only 3 more, but still.
His pullbacks were kind of dead today. He didn't really attempt many dribbles. I'll give him a 5, because I think he was better than Mount. He was more involved, but not by much.
So 4.5, you said?
Yes.
Maybe. I don't know. I think I'm going to stick to my 4, but I'll let Clutch go first. Maybe he will convince me of something different. Consent 4.5. What did you make of Raheem Sterling today, Clutch?
Poor. I mean, Raheem Sterling, we know, has the quality to take on players, and he is supposed to be our most direct player. That is why we brought him in, is because that is what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to be direct. He's supposed to put defenders on their back foot. He didn't have a single dribble attempt today, at least recorded, for whatever that stat happens to be. Yeah. So if you're not doing that, and then I honestly think he missed a couple opportunities he probably should have put in the back of the net that he didn't. And I think the biggest problem I had with him all day, and I'm going to go with a 4, by the way, is he holds on to the ball so long to try to, and it just, every time, it just allows defenders to just come right back and stop him. Like, he had one at the top of the box. I think it was at the end of the first half that I was sitting there like, what are you doing? Like, why didn't you just take that after you got past the first defender? Just take that. It's not like you didn't score that shot earlier on this year. So for me, no, I think he was equally as bad. So probably a 4.
I would agree. Actually, I would have gone.
I'm going to lower my Mount rating to 4 because I don't think Mount was better, and I said 4.5. So
okay,
4 all around.
I hear that. That kind of shows what people were unhappy with today. That these 4 players from us all got a 4. Now, obviously, not everyone will agree on the exact ratings, but in the grand scheme of things, I think everybody will agree that all 4 of these were very good, and probably include Kai Havertz in that as well. We'll get to him in a second. To be honest, other than the goal, also included Aubameyang in that, really, which was kind of half the problem today. But yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll sit there on the 4 in the end, 2 4s with 1 4.5 of Bicon. But yeah, I need a bit more. Now, obviously, he was only on the right side in the first half, and even I think halfway through the second half, he kind of started to switch over on the left side a bit more. But that didn't help him either. I'm also like, I'm not sure if I'm just imagining things, but whenever I saw Raheem Sterling play at Man City, the guy was the fastest guy I've ever seen in my life. And at Chelsea, the amount of times I've seen Sterling be at least not outrun by defenders, but kept up with by defenders who I would have assumed would stand no chance whatsoever. So I'm a little bit confused by how that happened, but we do that to every player, it seems. Like Aubameyang apparently isn't quick anymore, according to some videos from players who were talking about Brozier being the fastest in the squad all of a sudden. How's that? Do you know what I mean? I'm a little bit confused by that. But here we are. Before we finish off and move on to Kai Havertz and Aubameyang, the poll has gone for an 8 rating for Thiago Silva. I will end that poll now because we might need another one in a second. Won by 54% to 46%, so reasonably close, but still we go with the 8 in the end. Let's get to Kai Havertz then. Now, I think it was a little bit better than those 4, but not by much. Now, I'm not sure if we're talking about the same moment, Clutch, but you were talking about Mount should have had an assist for him. I think because he had a shot that the defender just flies in and blocks it with a great block. Because that shot is going in otherwise. He had a good cross to Mount, which should have been an assist for him because that was a really good cross. But otherwise, I mean, he had that one shot in the first half where he made a good run and then just shot but put it 5 yards wide. And I'm like, well, I would have rather you put it 5 yards wide for Germany and then put it top corner for us instead of the other way around. But hey, it is what it is. But yeah, I'm kind of debating a 4.5 or a 5. Con, do you think I'm off the mark, or whereabouts would you go for Kai?
I think from what I saw, I think Kai was the best out of them lot today. I think.
Yeah.
He was a bit more positive.
Aubameyang or excluding Aubameyang?
Excluding Aubameyang.
Okay.
I think he was. I'll give him a 5. I think he was a bit more positive. Like he tried a bit more. He attempted to go past people. You know, like he was a lot more positive. And that little run, he dragged the shot, but that was nice. And you don't see that enough from players. You know, just grabbing the ball, being direct, and having a shot. Like from time to time, I want to see that from my forwards. It didn't come off, but I like the idea, and at least he was trying things today. He was trying a bit more than the others, so I'll give him a 5. Even I didn't think it was his greatest game.
First, I probably agree with you if I'm honest. But Clutch, do you agree with Con or do you disagree?
Yeah, I think I agree with Con. I just don't think he was as negative as the other ones, and he did have moments where he looked like he was trying to do it. Now, was it exactly a great performance? No, not by any stretch of the imaginations. I think he's got a problem just as much as Mount does. But I'd probably just go with the 5.
First, I think I'd probably just go along with the 5, if I'm honest, for similar reasons to you guys. Like I said earlier, already had a couple of moments. Should have certainly done more. There's no hiding from that fact. But I think he still did more positive things than the other 4, frankly, who we gave a 4 in the end. Will highlight a super chat that Wing sent a few minutes ago, just because now we're actually on the topic. He says, if it was Pulisic with the weekly Haram classics, like Mason Mount and Kai Havertz, I assume the M and the H stands for. I mean, Pulisic did come on and make an assist, but Pulisic did also play against Saudi Arabia and had an absolute stinker. So, you know, it swings and roundabouts. This is the problem though, Wing. Like, why use Mount and Havertz's bad performance to big up Pulisic? That's why people don't like Pulisic as much. And the longer this goes on, that his fanboys do this, the more annoyed people get with, and not even him. He doesn't even do that much wrong about this. But it's more the people that our minds associate with him because we read them always talking about him. Well, I'm like, yes, Havertz and Mount were poor and not good enough. But that has nothing to do with Pulisic, bro. Pulisic was poor enough on his own in this season so far, whether it was for the US or for Chelsea. Now, he came on today and got an assist. Now, was it the most impressive assist in the world? No, but it was an assist regardless, and the others didn't get it. So fair play. And we will give him credit for that. But just don't use others playing badly to boost your own agenda. That's pointless. Doesn't bring anyone anywhere and just makes your guy even more disliked, personally. But I could. No, he wasn't solid again. No. Now, okay, I didn't watch the game, but it's Saudi Arabia.
Laurenz, I actually
one
did.
chance in the whole game.
Yeah, Laurenz, I actually did.
Attacker was good. Sorry,
I actually did watch that game, and I didn't think it was too impressive. He wasn't that great at all. I did watch the game.
There you go. There you go. Thank you. Now, like I say, I will say I didn't see the game, but seeing the stats of the game, not his individual stats, because individual stats mean only so much. But the fact that he was subbed off, then threw his fit apparently, again, only apparently, and didn't do anything. I don't know. Laurenz, you do the same. Stop doing it as if you're an angel. But what do I do? Then maybe I do it for Ruben, right? But I take it to take the piss. I'm not serious about it. Do you know what I mean? But fair play. We'll get to Pulisic's sub rating in a second. Anyways, all right then. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Finally, I say finally, it's only been his third game, mind you. And his first game without a mask. What a striker's goal. Now, outside of that, it was absolutely awful. But the goal was absolutely incredible. A striker's goal like we haven't really seen, well, almost since Diego Costa left. Yeah, probably Lukaku scored a couple of them last year. But, I tried to erase those from my memory. And I realized I can't spell Aubameyang's name. I do apologize. Why has no one told me? But yeah, the finish was absolutely brilliant. Assisted by Thiago Silva, as we said. Hence why I'm going to give him a 6. I think it was a 5 outside of that, maybe even a 4.5. But the goal was very good, so I'm going to give him a 6. That's what I'm going to say. Con, what about you?
I don't get why you say he was like trash outside the goal. I thought when he was involved, his hold-up was pretty good. He held off the likes of Guy. He actually, Guy hurt himself trying to get the ball with Aubameyang. I thought his link-up... True, yeah. I think his link-up's actually all right today, Like, I feel like his issue was...
Link-up with who?
Like, we're just holding up the ball. When the ball was coming to his feet, he's just holding it and passing it off.
This I agree. He held it, but then when he passed it to someone, it never, like...
It's not his fault, though. He's not there to create, is he? He's there to score goals. And when he got that opportunity, he scored. Like, this is the problem. I know with Lukaku, we don't like him, but to be fair to the other side, he didn't really get that much created for him. And it's the same thing with Aubameyang today. He didn't get much, but he did score a great goal when he did get half a chance, So I think it's 7.5 for Aubameyang today. I thought he had a decent game, I weren't annoyed at him at all today. And I was actually surprised he came off. I was a bit upset when he came off because I feel like you just give him a chance and he'll bury it.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think he was that good. I don't think he was involved enough personally. Like, he had 28 touches. Now, better than Romelu Lukaku did at Palace last season, who had 7. But I still think, like, if you're going to drop deep, then you need to be more effective with your dropping deep, because he wasn't required to drop deep today. That was Havertz's job today. That wasn't his job today. And whenever we played the long ball, he never won it. He didn't. Other players did, but he didn't. But he did have 21 out of 24 accurate passes. He created 1 chance. Now, I'm not sure for who he created that, but apparently he created 1 chance. Fair play. Tackles 1, 0 out of 0. Okay, he's a striker. Ground duels 1. How can that be 0? Surely he had some ground duels. No, not 0 that he won. He apparently wasn't involved in any ground duels. It was a bit weird. 0 out of 2 aerial duels. Not exactly brilliant. Maybe I'm too harsh. I'll go to 6.5, which leaves us at a 7 as for the time being. I'll read the chat in a second as well if they agree that I'm having a stinker. But we'll see. But clutch. A 6.5 from my end then. A 7.5 from Con's end. What would you go for?
Because I do have an agenda.
What's the agenda?
I don't like Aubameyang. I don't think he's good.
Oh, okay. Why?
See, but I rate it though. At least he's there. I'm like, I have an agenda. I'm like, oh, fair play.
I think he was a poor decision to buy. I mean, he got his goal today, fair, but I guess only time will tell. I thought over the last 4 years, he's not the same Aubameyang, and I think us buying him is kind of just a big mistake. But you know what? Fair enough. I'll give him a 7. I think he's probably more of a 6.5, but I'll give him a 7 because, I mean, he did get a goal, and it was a nice goal. So
it was a very good goal. I mean, someone says our striker done his job when you bust him on a 6. Yeah, but is a striker's goal to only score 1 goal? No. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, it took to the 90th minute to win a game. So,
no, I feel that's really harsh because...
No, I'm not trying to blame that solely on him, but I don't think you can sit there and say he did his job when he scored 1 goal and was, let's say, okay outside of that, or decent outside of that. I'm like, well, you can't say he did his job necessarily.
But let's
he needed Gallagher to do his job. Do you know what I mean?
Let's compare the chances he scored today compared to the chances. I know Haaland has very few touches for City, right? But how the chances he gets, right? Aubameyang, that was really a half a chance and he put it away. Like that's very, very clinical from him, Like I think he had 2 opportunities. One was from the corner. That was a great. Who took that corner? Was it Reece? The one on the floor to Aubameyang. I can't remember. I think
Reece. Might have
that
been
was
Mason.
that was a fantastic corner, and he scuffed the shot there. But like
Yeah.
that other shot, like he got half a chance. That's all he really had.
Are you
in this
sure that
game.
wasn't Sterling from the corner?
No, it was Aubameyang. It was
Okay.
Aubameyang. Yeah.
Fair.
I'm pretty sure. If I'm wrong, I apologize, but I'm pretty sure it was Aubameyang. So like he really didn't get nothing today, and to score, and that's what the best chance you had today, and you bury it like that. Like you have to give him props for that. That's him doing his job. Like he can't really do much more with the little serve he's getting. He's coming to drop play. Like he's not the youngest anymore. We're not gonna get that dynamic Aubameyang when he's at Dortmund where he could go out on the wings. He was pretty rapid. He can take players on. You're not gonna get that. He's not the player he is anymore. So I feel like for who he is, the player he is, I don't think he could have done too much more today, personally.
On the one hand, I agree with you. Something inside of me agrees with you. On the other hand, something inside of me is still like, yeah, he had the limited amount of service, but I just didn't feel like he went into areas where he would get service. I don't know, but obviously that's not all of it. Like I'm just saying, there was moments where I'm like, why are you there? And why didn't you pass that? Where I was just like a little bit confused. But also, obviously, by the other players that in the end didn't get the ball to where he was. Yeah, you know what? Maybe his overall performance was just decent, hence 6+ goal. Maybe I'll give him a 7. Do you know what I mean? Maybe. So we have a 7 and a 7.5. Clutch, back to you then. I don't think you gave me an actual final rating. Are you fuming now that I've gone higher and higher and higher?
No, I said 7.
Did you? Okay, sorry, I missed that. My bad. Fair play. Well, then we see it on the 7. Nice. Wonderful. All right. So we need to get the subs done then. So who was the first sub? Jorginho was replaced by Loftus-Cheek. Then we had a double substitution where Gallagher and Brozier came on for Havertz and Aubameyang. And then the last sub was Pulisic for Mount. I'm pretty sure we only made 4 subs, right? I'm pretty sure. All right. Can this ambulance outside please shut up? I'm doing something here. All right. But I guess let's do it in order of when they came on. So let's do Loftus-Cheek. Interesting. Last game, he played second striker when he came on. Last game and the first game on the Graham Potter. Today he comes on, plays in midfield. And then even though Gallagher came on, it was still room in the stadium midfield. And he was better than Jorginho was. Now, was he amazing? No. But he was better than Jorginho was. So as a sub, I'm going to give him a 6. I don't think it was anything special to rave about. Hence why just an average 6, I would say. Clutch, what would you say?
I didn't even notice him, so I guess a 6. That's fine. NA 6.
Well, I guess if you didn't notice him at all, then maybe you should go low. I don't know.
I don't know what he did. I don't remember him doing very much.
Fairs. Let's see what the chat thinks and take it to Con as well. Con, did you not see him? Did you think he was decent? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I thought he was a bit of a ghost when he came on, to be fair. I don't think that's particularly his fault. I don't think the team looked very balanced, when
he had 34 touches, though.
Yeah,
how did I just not see those?
Only 34 minutes, mind you.
I'm trying to think what he did.
It's mind-boggling that he had like 12 less touches than Jorginho in 34 minutes, but I can't remember any of those touches.
Yeah, same.
93% pass completion too.
I'll get. Do you know what? For Laurenz, because I like seeing Laurenz smart, I'll give him a 6 because he didn't do anything that made me annoyed, or even because I get easily irritated, especially in midfield when that simple passes messed up, and I can't remember anything bad he did. So for Lawrence's sake and to see him smile, I'll give him a 6.
Thank you. See, now I see what you're saying in terms of did nothing, but think about it. How many times did all of a sudden in midfield we get completely destroyed before we came on, and how many times did it happen after? That's what he did. Maybe you didn't see it, but you didn't see it because he didn't fuck it up like Jorginho did. You know what I mean by that?
No, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. Like when he did come on, we looked a bit more.
Palace had one more chance after that, really.
Yeah, like we did look a bit more, a little less vulnerable, should I say?
That's why I said 6. Now, if people say 5, I wouldn't shout in your face either. But I definitely won't be going like 7s and 8s. Absolutely not. Whether you have 3%, 93% pass completion or not. He felt like, even though he's the opposite of John Obi Mikel in terms of player, he felt like a John Obi Mikel today. Came on, all of a sudden we were a bit just calmer. Now, were we better attacking? Not at all. But I don't think that was the aim of that substitution either, if I'm honest. But hey, who knows?
That's a fair point. The McKelvey comparison, I like it. No, yeah, because when he did come on, we didn't really look vulnerable in midfield like that. Yeah, so yeah, he did make a difference. Whether we noticed him on the ball or not, he did make a difference.
There you go. Because definitely, I mean, he was 27 out of 29 passes he completed, but I guarantee at least 24 of those were very simple 5-yard passes, maybe 10-yard max. So, I understand when people say he did nothing, but fair play. All right, then. The next two. Now, Armando Broja, I love him. And I really want him to get a start, but that wasn't it from him today. Now, how much of that was completely his fault or not, I don't know, because we didn't really get the ball to him. But the guy was on the pitch for 15 minutes and only touched the ball twice. So that's not ideal. That is obviously a little bit unfortunate. So if you only touch the ball twice, I almost want to give you an NA, but it was touch the ball twice in 15 minutes. That's like, so I don't really know whether I want to give that a low rating because of that, or do I just give him an NA because I'm not really sure how much he could have done to touch the ball more, if I'm honest. I mean, Clutch, what do you think about that? Do you low rating because not involved, or NA because not involved? Like, it's kind of those options, really, isn't it?
How many minutes did he have? Like 20?
15.
15? Yeah, now give him an NA. That's fine.
Okay. Con,
he probably should be starting most of these days, or should be starting, but hey.
Yeah.
I
mean, go on.
Yeah, I'd feel harsh to give him a low rating because it's just like I said with Aubameyang. Like, he just wasn't getting found with the ball. Like, he wasn't.
He had 2 touches.
Yeah,
but he won a ground duel, so hey, there you go.
He won a ground duel, so let's give him a 6 because apparently that's more than a lot of players today. So.
Well, apparently Aubameyang wasn't even involved in one, which I still doubt that stat. Surely the stat can't be right? Maybe they'll update the stats later. Who knows? But fair enough. He's my guy, Broja. So I don't want to be too harsh. Here's my agenda. I like Broja, so instead of a bad rating, I want to give him an NA, which is I'm not going to talk about the rest. But Gallagher, who played the exact same amount of minutes, now Clutch, you clearly have that up. But how many touches did he have? If you could check by any chance.
12.
So it is 10 more in the exact same.
Well, here's the problem. He had 12 touches, 5 passes for 55% pass accuracy. Pretty bad, by the way.
Yeah.
He had 2 dribble attempts for 2 that were successful. 2 out of 3 ground duels, 1 out of 1 aerial duel. Not bad. Okay. I don't like his passing, but not bad.
Interesting. I also don't really know what position he was supposedly playing. Was it a 10?
I think he took over for Havertz, so I think he was just playing whatever Havertz was doing.
Yeah, but Havertz, in the second half, Havertz was then. So this is second half formation. Sterling was in the left, Mount was kind of a central 10, I thought, and Havertz was just in the right, which isn't his best position. I still firmly believe. I think it was kind of like that second half, and then Gallagher came on. And I think it was like that. And then Sterling was the right again once Pulisic did come on because Pulisic was clearly on the left. That's what I thought it was. But maybe because Gallagher scored from the left, so he can't exactly have been a right winger, can he? But who knows? I could well be wrong. But regardless of whether faffing about what exact formation positions he played, Clutch, I stick with you. Now, some of the stats don't read so nicely, but the goal watches back very nicely. What a hit, and what a crucial goal as well, mind you. We've been sat here and criticizing, dishing out fours, left, right, and centre, and all sorts. But we're sat here and criticizing almost with a little bit of a smile on our face because we won. And that's basically only thanks to Gallagher. I mean, yeah, Pulisic gave him the ball, but essentially only thanks to Gallagher. And so, therefore, I'm going to, as a sub rating, I'm going to give him a pretty high rating. But I still can't go higher than Aubameyang, can I? Because outside of that, he didn't really do anything good. So I'm going to say 7. But, Clutch, would you go along with that just for the goal, or would you even go higher for the goal?
I was thinking somewhere between 7 and 7.5.
Okay.
Let's do 7.
Okay. Con, would you go higher than the 7 for the banger goal? We could, but...
Yeah, I'm going an 8 for that because he did something that a lot of Chelsea players are allergic to, and that's having a crack from outside the box. And when you score a match winner like that and put a smile on my face after watching 89 minutes of boring ass football, I'm going to give you an 8. It's a great strike from Conor. That absolutely beautiful strike that was.
You know what? That's a very good phrase you used there. Put a smile on your face. Maybe instead of stats, or they should put in stats rather than passes completed is smiles put on people's faces, because he most certainly won that one today, that's for sure. So you know what? It's a sub rating. So who's going to kill me? No one. I'm going to agree with you 8. As simple as that. I mean, Clutch, you can raise yours to a 7.5 if you want, but just for like, you know what? He scored a screamer. All right, he scored a screamer, and it was a winner, a screamer winner, which is not a word, but I made it one. So there you go. Let's give him that A. Pulisic should probably get an NA, or maybe he will get an NA. But shout out, got the assist to dribble past someone, then laid it off to Gallagher. So did something good. Very happy. I hope he gets a start in one of the next few games, because I think Mount should probably get dropped. Now, should it be Milan? Not sure, but maybe next week against Wolves. Maybe that's when I reckon Pulisic should get a start. But Clutch, he obviously only played a couple of minutes and there wasn't much to be seen or to be done. But what did you think about the cameo?
I mean, how many players do we have that have actually went direct and he came on and decided he wanted to be a little bit more direct? I will say you can kind of tell his attitude has changed a little bit. He does seem like he actually wants to play again, which is something for probably 6 months we probably shouldn't say, because whenever he came on from being a sub, even if he came on under Tuchel with 5 minutes to go, he wasn't getting an assist. I can guarantee you that. I guarantee you he didn't care enough to do that. And now all of a sudden he thinks, well, hey, here's my opportunity to get it back, so I'm going to try a little bit harder. Even if that's just 5 minutes, I'll try a little bit harder. So that's good, I guess. I mean, it's not wonderful. I don't like that attitude a whole bunch, but... And then he was the one tracking the runner. So he did have a little nice track back moment for defense.
True, actually, yeah. True.
So I'd probably give him an NA because, I mean, 5 minutes, but give him a shout out because he did have a nice dribble to an assist, and hopefully there's more to come from that.
Yeah. I mean, I'd happily give him like a 7 as well. Obviously, it's with an asterisk for only playing 5 minutes, but those 5 minutes did very well. I mean, you could even go higher, because in 5 minutes, what more than an assist and, a good moment of tracking back once we are 2-1 up can you really expect? But maybe NA is more appropriate. But Con, number one, what would you rate him? Would you give him an NA? And what did you make of the cameo? Do you think that he warrants a start in one of the next few games, whether it's Milan or Wolves?
I think you're praising the bare minimum, to be honest. I'm joking. Do you know what? One thing that really annoyed me about Pulisic,
people gonna come for your neck, bro.
Bro, I love winding up the US men's national Twitter. It's my hobby now. I don't know if you see me do it, but I love doing it. It's so good.
We're going to see either
it's literally not that hard. It's not that hard these days.
That is true. But the karma is going to either come to haunt you or them, because someone's winning at the World Cup. Bro,
they can't beat like these teams, like the ones that sound like prisons and stuff like that. What was the one they played? I can't remember, in CONCACAF. That team I watched, that rugby pitch they played on.
Oh no, Panama, was it?
No, I can't remember. El Catrash or something like that. Something like that. Sounded like a prison who they played, and like they just
El Salvador, maybe.
Yeah, that's it. El Salvador, yeah. Like
that's a country, brother.
Bro, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I never heard of that country before.
You're calling a country the name of a prison, bro.
No, that's what it sounds like. That's like I didn't know it was a country, and like the US can't even beat them. So like
Nicaragua, there's a whole bunch down there. Honduras.
Bro, we could field our under-21s. It would still be US men like this. But anyway,
I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a clue though. So you guys think Gareth Southgate's a bad coach? He's got nothing on the US coach. That man is an idiot. And I don't even I know because he used to coach for my my local club. So I got to see him actually coach, and I'm like, this guy is an idiot. I mean, fair enough, he won the no he didn't. So never mind. He never won anything with Columbus. So we're good. He still sucks.
No, I've heard from you guys that your manager stinks, but your team stinks anyway. But anyway,
it's going to be Southgate versus Berhalter, and it's going to be one of the funniest and worst games I've ever seen in my life.
But bro, when we get that 1-0 win,
0-0, and everyone
Trent Alexander-Arnold is somehow going to start in the game. Like Southgate starts Trent Alexander-Arnold. I don't know why. Whatever. Hey, screw it, because that's the player you think is the best right back. But hey, that's not Reece James. And then here comes Greg Berhalter playing 5 MLS players that probably shouldn't even play the game. But hey, who am I?
To be fair, Southgate actually doesn't like Trent at all. If anything, he'd play Trippier, but Trippier is no better, is he? But Con, would you go for an NA for Pulisic, or would you give him?
No, I'd give him a 7 today, because the assist was like a kind of Bruno Fernandes assist, like you just pass it and like the player scores a cracker. But it's just that bit of positivity in that late stage of the game is what I'm rating. It's because my biggest criticism of Pulisic last year is how negative he was. He wasn't taking players on. He wasn't looking to go forward. He's always passing back and just like pass and move. It was really boring. But today he actually dribbled past someone. He passed towards Gallagher, and that created, Gallagher the space to shoot that shot. And I'm really happy with that. I want to see more of that from Pulisic. And I want to see him have a start because he's done a lot of talking off the pitch. So he needs to do it on the pitch now. He's got no excuses. I still think he's a very talented player, and it's his time to put up a shut up now. So I'll give him a 7.
Yeah, no, fair play. You know what? I probably agree. If we're going to do like a positive thing for Gallagher, why not do it for Pulisic as well? He gets enough hate as it is, even if some of that is his fans' fault. But, we have to make up for those. But the chat has been very funny. First, found it very funny that you called El Salvador prison. And then took the piss out of you that England got relegated to Nations League B. But the thing you got to understand is you guys, or some of you, care about the US men's national team. I don't think Con gives a flying flip about England. I mean, at the World Cup you might, but certainly not about Nations League. At least I don't. Do you know what I mean? Whether that's England or Austria at the Nations League, just get the Nations League right in the bin. Now, one thing, I can't remember whether we did that for Salzburg, now in hindsight. I think we did. But the second ever time and the first ever time in the Premier League, Graham Potter gets a rating. So what do we do about that one? Because, the starting 11 was okay. Subs, one of them scored, the other one assisted it. So you can't really complain too much of the subs. Just maybe how long we didn't really do anything about being bad in midfield. That's kind of my main criticism. And what I find not weird, and that's really nothing to do with Graham Potter, but what I really want to mention is, before I forget, Chelsea signed Zakaria, and in the first Premier League game with the new manager, he's not even in the squad. Like, what the flip was the point? I feel bad for the guy, The guy's talking like, yeah, I'm so excited to go to England. Juve just wasn't my thing. In England, I'm going to be so much better. I'm like, bro, you're not even going to touch the pitch, man. Like, I feel bad for him. I feel a bit bad for him. And also, when I see our midfield, how he played today, I'm like, are we sure he's that bad? But if he's so bad that Potter doesn't even put him in the squad, then maybe we don't want him in the squad anyway, if that makes sense. But Graham Potter, shall we give him like a, I don't know, 6 or 7, I'm feeling? Clutch, what would you say?
You can't knock the subs because they're the ones who made the difference and won the game. But here's the trend, and it's something I didn't like with Tuchel. I think we don't make subs early enough. Today we were forced into a sub a little bit earlier, but
do you think it was an injury sub? Because I'm not sure.
Yeah, I do. It did look like Jorginho was struggling a little bit. Because, yeah, I do think it was an injury sub. And I think that, if you when you talk about, subs and whatnot, when I see, it was very clear, probably within, the 50th, 55th, 60th minute, that we weren't going to do anything offensively and our midfield was just bad. I don't know why we didn't make a sub at that point. It took us 20 more minutes to make our third sub in the 75th minute, and then we sub people on at the 85th minute. That, I don't mind if we're up, but if we're not up and we're tied and we're not trying to go for the win, I don't understand why we're not doing it. We needed the win. That's it. We needed the win, and we needed to make these subs earlier and give players time to kind of get adapted into the game. Because I don't believe 5 minutes is enough. 5 to 10 minutes, it apparently was for today, but normally I know a lot of players would like 10 minutes to get warmed up to try to make something happen. So I'm not a big fan of late subs. I really hate it. Something that really annoyed me. And if you remember me on here, I always came on here and criticized Tuchel for that. I always hated it. We have 5 subs now. We need to use them a little bit more.
I agree with that, but I think when you have 5 subs, you also should leave 1 or 2 as a potential late sub. I agree, 2 or 3 should happen by the 70th minute, the very latest. 2 or 3 of the 5 subs. But then you can't do 5 in straight away, because what if someone gets injured, like you said?
Oh no, I completely agree. You at least need to leave 1, but there's also that stupid thing where you have to make 3, or basically you have to make 2 subs each time, basically, because you only have 3 periods that you can actually sub people in. So
plus half time, but obviously we didn't change at half time. So
yeah, so that's where I'm but I do think we should have had a sub by at least the 65th minute, and not for injury purposes. Probably 2 subs 65th minute.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this was an injury sub, the Ruben for Jorginho one, but regardless, maybe a second sub should have happened earlier. Anyway, but did you tell me a final rating for Potter, bro?
Let's go 7, 6.57.
you know what? We did the positive thing for the other ones. Why not do it here as well? Come then. Graham Potter. Now, number one, do you agree with Clutch's opinion on the subs? That not necessarily that he had a go at them today, because clearly it worked, but in general, that are you also a fan of making sure you get a fair few subs in early? Because to me, I'm not as black and white on this as Clutch is. To me, this drastically depends on the game. If I'm feeling like, okay, we clearly need to change something, then I'm like, why change one? Just change 2 or 3, because too many are playing badly here. Just make a few subs. But then if things are actually going quite well and you're just missing an edge, then I think you need to be careful with overdoing it with subs, because you can ruin a little, even though it didn't end, sometimes doesn't end in goals when we're struggling to finish something. But if the whole team is actually playing well, then if you do too many subs, that can kind of ruin the flow of the team, because they almost need to find each other, like get on each other's wavelengths again on that very day, because it's not always the same, right? So for me, it depends a little bit on the game, whether I want all the subs or whether I want very few subs. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, today I wanted subs.
Can I make a point, though, to that?
Go on.
So we have 5 players in our midfield to attacking areas that are a rating of 5 or below, right?
Yeah.
The first one that was subbed out of that, and I think it was an injury sub, was in the, 65th minute, 63rd minute? That's a problem. That's telling me we were not playing well enough, so we needed to change something a lot earlier. Now
Ruben actually came on in the 56th already.
The 56th, okay. So, yeah, injury sub. So why did somebody else not come on with him at that point? Like, one of these 3, Mount, Havertz, or Sterling, should have came off with Jorginho, in my opinion.
While I actually agree with you on that, the problem is kind of that. Now, it worked in the end. Pulisic got an assist, Gallagher got a goal. But other than Broja, did I trust anyone else on the bench to change it much? Not really. But obviously, I was proved wrong on that by them today, I suppose. But Con, what's your opinion on what Club set, and then get into the Potter rating?
I'm more siding towards with you, Laurenz, where for me it's very game dependent, and I think he made a sub fairly early. I don't think it was entirely injury based, that sub, personally.
What I think Jorginho was doing here, it's one of those ones, getting subbed off early. Don't really want to be getting subbed off. So let me just hold my hip a little bit.
Yeah.
So then it doesn't look as bad because I'm getting subbed off. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, when Ronaldo, when a game finishes and the camera pans on him and he lost, and he's always there, like, really, like, visibly shaking his head. I'm like, the only reason you're shaking your head is because you know you're getting filmed. There's no way you would be shaking your head otherwise.
Yeah, so it's a bit of showmanship, shall we say. So I think he made a sub quite early there. And then, like you said, when you look at the bench, who do you really... If we had like a N'Golo Kante on the bench, I totally understand what Clutch is saying and make that sub earlier. Maybe even make it at half-time. But we don't. So we don't even have a Sakura on the bench. So as much as I love Ruben, if he's further forward, I'm all for him coming on early. If it's for that 6, like, is it a much better option today? It looked like it was. But, you know, it's one of those, it's like, is it? And the same with Gallagher, like, we've seen him at 6, and it's not pretty. So, I get what Clutch is saying, I do. But I think today the subs were decent, to be fair, to what we had on the bench.
Yeah. I do agree with Clutch. One could have happened earlier, and you could have just brought someone else on with Ruben, like, I don't know, Pulisic. Was Ziyech even on the bench? I didn't even see. Or Broja.
He was.
Could have said, okay. Could have certainly done that. Yeah, like I said, like, he was clearly had some sort of pain, but to me, like, it just looked like a knock. You know, when you get someone hits you in your hip and it hurts for a bit, but it doesn't mean your engine have to come off. But it can still hurt. That's what I was seeing. But like I say, we will never know for sure. Or well, maybe we will if he doesn't play the next game.
Laurenz, just quickly, check your DM on Twitter. Do you see Reece James' new tweet?
The post, you know, I'll get it up after we're done with the Potter rating. Right, it's very good, very good. But just finish it off quickly. Rating for Potter, would you go along with Clutch 7, or would you go for something different?
Well, you know me, I'm always really harsh with managers on this channel, so I'll probably give him a 2 because I think Tuchel's better. Joke. I do think that, but I'll give him a 7 today. His first game, he had a lot of players leaving for international. The subs. It didn't really have, when your players don't perform that well and there's very limited options, there's only so much you can do. But Gallagher scored, Pulisic assist. You know, you got to give him credit for that. We played a back 4, we only conceded 1. You know, for Chelsea, that's actually quite an accomplishment, you know. especially with Kepa in goal. So, yeah.
Even takes a long shot, man.
Yeah. So, like, I give him a 7. I think it's a good start. First Premier League game. I think that I don't normally always put context on it, but for this one, it gets context. It's his first ever Premier League game at a very hostile environment, and we won the game, so I'll give him a 7.
Yeah, I'd probably still go 6.5, but it obviously stays to 7 for you guys. But yeah, I mean, the selection in terms of players, I was okay with. The subs, I was pretty happy with, other than maybe one of them should have been a bit earlier. Just the tactics, I wasn't too sure about. Like, why are we playing a back four with Kovacic and Jorginho as the double pivot when Chilwell has to play left back, Thiago Silva, 38, has to play centre back, Fofana, with one of his first few games, I'm like, that doesn't exactly scream stability, right? So I'm like, if we're so dependent on Cucurella playing to play a back 3 under Potter, and you guys know I'm actually a fan of the back 4, but I'm like, you need, if I don't know, if the stability isn't there, then that's a problem, because the stability not being there, in my opinion, was a big reason for why we offensively were poor, right? Because when there's no stability, more of the forwards are running back and steaming everywhere, trying to run left, right, center. And then once they get the ball, they're like basically out of breath, and there's no one in their actual positions because we were just chasing, because we had no foundation really. So I don't think the tactics quite worked today. And yeah, we tweaked them second half, but arguably made them worse because the second half was really bad in general. In terms of what we did, now we shut Palace out for the most part, but I mean, it was 1-1, not 3-1. So we should also still be doing something ourselves, shouldn't we? So that's why I probably wouldn't quite go as high, but I still think what content in terms of the context is absolutely spot on and, valid. But we have another huge game coming on Wednesday against AC Milan. Must win, absolutely must win. So that's going to be very interesting. And as I promised, let me quickly get Reece James's tweet up because it's been quite enjoyable. And Zaha is just, now I wouldn't have minded signing him this summer instead of, don't really know who, but I wouldn't have minded signing him. But he is a little bit of a whiny bee, isn't he? Because even his voice pisses me off. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that's just me. But let me just get that up quickly. Stop the screen share and get the other screen on screen. All right, I can talk. But quickly, Clutch. Wednesday against AC Milan. Now, of course, we will do a preview in due course. But how are you feeling after this? Do you think this was enough in terms of at least last minute winner, bounce, blah, 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 to kick on a little bit from this? Or do you basically think it's, again, start from scratch on Wednesday?
I don't think it's start from scratch, but I think I think every game is going to give you a platform to the next game. You're going to learn more about each player every game, right? So, I mean, I'm going to trust Reece James against against AC Milan. So I'm not exactly worried about that. But I think you have to use each game as a lesson. Like, what did we learn from this game? We just can't use Kovacic and Jorginho in a double pivot. That can't happen like that. At least like we did today. Unless you have a different player that's not Thiago Silva having to be a 37-year-old monster.
It's interesting because Europe is so different. So I'm not even sure if, while I probably maybe agree with you in terms of form, of course, when they're both in great form, it's fine. But maybe against AC Milan, it works perfectly. That's the tough one. That's why it's so difficult when you change between Prem and Europe, because it's almost different football.
Yeah, of course it is. I mean, the Italian Football League is obviously way different than the Premier League. I mean,
yeah,
it's just there's a different type of player that comes into it. So, but when you have a world-class player like Reece James, who I mean, no disrespect to AC Milan, but their best player is Leao, and Reece James is just I think he's a better player and a better defender than Leao is going to be. So I think you take that out, and it's a learning process. Can Reece James go without getting injured, I guess, is what the season's going to have to take. But we'll see how it ends up progressing. Will he play that wingback role like he has been, or is he going to slot back into that right back? So just it's all dependent. I think you just take each game as a learning lesson and see what happens from then.
Absolutely. I mean, myself and Pies were talking about this yesterday because Reece James probably need a rest at some point. He played both games for England. Now he played today. He will play against Milan. Then we have Wolves. Then we have Milan again. like we have, I think it's like Brentford or something. Like we have big game after big game. The first game where I'd be like, okay, now it's time to rest some players is if we win all the Champions League games between now and then, the home game against Zagreb. And we have a lot of games between now and then, which is difficult. But Con, what do you think? Do you think we can take this as a bit of a stepping stone to find our feet properly again, like get into a bit of a rhythm, build some momentum? Or do you think today wasn't good enough to really use it as that? And it's almost like, we have to start, try to find said momentum again, start Wednesday, if that makes sense. Which isn't like saying it's a bad thing, but it's like basically saying it hasn't been quite enough to give us any sort of massive boost.
No, I think it can give us a boost. Aubameyang got his first goal. Gallagher got his first goal too. So that's a big boost for those two players. It's a win under the belts of the team as well. I think they needed it, and it will give them a bit of confidence, I think. The first Premier League game under a new manager, they got the 3 points. It'll do the world of good for Potter too. So, no, it's only a good thing. Whenever you win, it's always a step in the right direction. Just hopefully we can build on this. You know, we've got to try. And absolutely. I'm scared about Leao, man.
And that's the perfect segue to take it to this Reece James post. Locked Zaha up. Gonna lock Leao up on Wednesday. So I hope. Fingers crossed, touch the wood. That's what I need. AC Milan, and we will talk about it obviously on Tuesday in the preview. But AC Milan, as far as I'm aware, have quite a few players missing, aren't they? Like, I think Theo Hernandez is injured. Isn't Maignan, that goalkeeper, still injured? So, like, they have a fair few players missing, which should make our evening a little bit easier. But, you know, they're still better than Palace. So, and that was difficult enough as it was. So, yeah, we will probably, you know, need to take a step up if we want to beat them. But we need to beat them. So, hopefully we rise to the occasion and get the dub. But for the time being, let's just enjoy a great weekend. I mean, other than that, obviously Spurs bottled it and were unuseful in ruining Arsenal. But yeah, Chelsea got the dub. Liverpool dropped some more points. Ferrari on pole. Let's hope we can get a win tomorrow. And hopefully Haaland can absolutely batter the living shit out of Manchester United tomorrow. That would be great fun, I think. And we'd all agree. Con, Clutch, thank you very much for coming on. Please do follow both of them on Twitter. Now, Clutch's link is not in the description because I didn't expect him to come on. But it's just Clutch CFC on Twitter. So search that, follow him, and show him some love. And of course, for Con, his Twitter you can actually see on screen and is linked down in the description. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're still here, appreciate you very, very much. Get subscribed if you haven't already. We're on the road to 20,000 subscribers. Smash the like button on your way out. Let me see how many likes we have. Definitely nowhere near enough. To be fair, it is 113, so you've done all right. But let's get to 150. So on your way out, just click that like button. It doesn't cost you any money, barely cost you any time. So you might as well. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea, upwards and onwards. Finally a win. And we'll see you next time.